The Swiss Alps stand as a massive, jagged wall of rock and ice. For centuries, this physical barrier divided the factories of northern Europe from the seaports of the south, forcing all trade over steep, dangerous mountain passes. By the 1990s, these narrow routes reached their absolute physical limits. Heavy truck traffic created massive logistical bottlenecks, while the exhaust fumes began to suffocate the pristine mountain valleys. Finding a faster route was a matter of economic survival. If freight couldn't move through the mountains efficiently, the entire European supply chain faced a total collapse. The engineers proposed a radical bypass, driving a hole straight through the mountain's base. At 57 kilometers long and 2.5 kilometers deep, it would become the deepest and longest transport tunnel in human history. To finish the project on time, two separate engineering teams had to drill blindly toward each other from opposite sides of the range. Because of the vast distance, they mathematically accounted for the physical curvature of the Earth. The stakes were absolute. A single millimeter miscalculation would cause the tunnels to miss each other, wasting 17 years and billions of dollars. Achieving that level of precision meant winning a high-stakes war against the unconquered geological forces hidden deep inside the Earth's crust. This is Sissy, a 450-meter-long tunnel boring machine designed to chew through 30 million tons of solid alpine rock. Underneath 2.5 kilometers of mountain, the sheer weight of the rock crushed heavy steel supports like aluminum cans. Crews immediately sprayed rapid-set concrete and installed precast slabs and heavy steel rings to hold back the earth. Advancing every single meter required an immediate, simultaneous effort to support the weight of the entire mountain to avoid being buried alive. At 2 kilometers down, rock traps ancient geothermal energy. As the boring machines move deeper, the temperature inside the tunnel spiked to 50 degrees Celsius, well over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat threatened to melt down heavy machinery and put human workers at risk of fatal heat stroke within 15 minutes of beginning a shift. Engineers installed a massive cooling infrastructure to make the environment habitable. They ran kilometers of piping along the walls, pumping in freezing water to drop the internal temperature and keep the air breathable. The project site functioned as a high-tech life support system, where human survival depended entirely on the constant circulation of chilled air. Hidden inside the rock, fractures held millions of gallons of water trapped under 2,900 psi of pressure. Breaking into these pockets blindly would release a jet of water with the explosive force of a cannonball, capable of tearing through concrete and steel. To secure the path, engineers drilled small pipes ahead of the main machine and pumped in liquid nitrogen. They literally froze the subterranean water solid, turning the flood risk into manageable ice. By freezing the ground before carving it, the teams physically transformed the mountain's internal state to ensure they survived the journey. Even with the rock cleared, the tunnel faced a final aerodynamic challenge. A high-speed train moving through a 57-kilometer tube acts like a piston, compressing a massive wall of air in front of it. Without a way to vent this air, the resulting pressure would generate a shockwave capable of shattering the passenger train's windows. The solution required 2 parallel tunnels connected by cross passages and ventilation shafts. This design allows the air pressure to bleed off safely as the train passes. Completing the project meant engineering not just for solid rock and pressurized water, but for the violent physics of compressed air. October 15, 2010. After 17 years and $12.5 billion, the drill teams were finally closing the final gap between the two separate tunnels. Using advanced GPS and laser navigation, the teams successfully met in the center of the mountain. The total deviation across the 57-kilometer distance was only half an inch. The sheer scale of the work left a permanent mark on the landscape. 30 million tons of excavated rock were repurposed into artificial islands in Lake Lucerne, and a memorial at the tunnel entrance now honors the 9 workers who died during construction. The tunnel physically realigned the continent. High-speed rail now glides through the Earth's crust, replacing the slow, high-altitude climb with a crossing that takes only 20 minutes. The Gotthard Base Tunnel proves that when humanity faces an immovable geological wall, we don't have to go over it. We just invent the tools to go right through it.